Well, good morning. Breakfast with the broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And do we have a treat for you? Let's get into it. And now, by way of Watertown, Massachusetts, he is the broker owner at Lamacchia Realty. Lamacchia Realty is the number one fastest growing leading RE affiliate over the last 5 years in America. He helps coach you with John Cheaplack. He is a motivational speaker and founder of Crush It in Real Estate. He's a husband, a father, and a lover of all things monster trucks and baseball. Stand up and make some noise for Anthony. He always crushes it in real estate. Lamacchia.
I think that's the best introduction I've ever gotten in my career. That was pretty good. I'm impressed. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, I appreciate you, and I know you're a busy guy, and certainly growing and in both influence in the real estate industry and your brokers. So I appreciate you coming on.
Well, I appreciate you having me. You're doing the same things, and you're doing a lot of great work both with your business and with all the Realtor Association work you're doing. So nice of you to take your time out to interview me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you well, let's get into it. We talk about a shifting market, right? A market that all the media likes to jump on, and it's about being first, not being about being right anymore. Um, is this a shifting market? How we looking?
There's no question in my mind we are in for a shift. It has started, as I said to you prior to starting 10 minutes ago. We're noticing it really everywhere. We operate in New England and in South Florida. And as you know, we're kind of the new kid on the block in South Florida. We started there in September of 2020. But what's interesting is we started seeing the slowdown up here in about March. We said that things are just not getting as busy as they should for March. And then, we have training customers all over North America through our Crush It in Real Estate training. And I started hearing from people March, April, hey, it's slowing down. Hey, it's different. Hey, my buyers don't have as much oomph as they did. And, as they're saying this and as we're seeing it, interest rates are going up at the fastest rate in 40 years. What's been impressive in South Florida, and I also hear it in Texas, is it really hasn't slowed down a heck of a lot. It's a little bit different, but it hasn't been dramatically different. And what I'm finding in the statistics that we track, we watch the data, we listen to what our realtors say. Florida is about 90 days behind the rest of the country as far as this slowdown goes. And that's because, once COVID started, if there's any bright side of COVID, it was in Florida, because everybody went to Florida, went to Texas, and, who doesn't want to be there? I certainly want to be there. Someday I plan to spend half my time there. So we're in for a market shift. We're in for an adjustment. But, you've been doing this as long as me. You and I both know we were overdue for this. What happened in the last 2 years with things getting red hot was kind of like the end of the party. And I am not by any means expecting a 2008 situation. We don't have a credit crisis on our hands. We don't have tons of people that own homes that shouldn't have been able to qualify. But it did get, what did Alan Greenspan say 15 years ago? Irrationally exuberant, right? That has happened. And now that rates have gone up so much, the fastest rate in 40 years, there's a lot of buyers with sticker shock. There's a lot of people that realize, gee, I can't afford what I could. And people have pulled back a little. And I think we're going to see that really for the remainder of the year. And then we'll see what next year brings.
So, in a quote unquote shifting market, how do real estate agents prepare? Listen, there are real estate agents that have been along as been in this business a while, but then there are most of these real estate agents that have been, that haven't experienced 2006, 7, and 8, haven't experienced, the slowdown in 2009, 2010, kind of really getting pushed into this. And we have a saying, and Dave Liniger is the founder of Remax, says LIFO, right? Last in, first out. The last real estate agents to get into the business are the first people to be out in these shifting markets. How can they sustain, and how can they be successful, and how can they prepare for a shifting market?
Dave is a legend in the business. I have admired him. I started my career at Remax many years ago. the way that agents need to prepare is they need to understand how the market works. And the only way they're going to understand how the market works is to actually follow homes listed, homes pending, homes sold, percentage of homes going pending. And these are data points that we've been tracking on a weekly basis since 2011. And that's the only way they're going to get it. And now what's going to happen is, we've been in a state of way too many buyers and not nearly enough sellers for really about 4 years. But in the last 2, it got exacerbated even more, right? Now, all of a sudden, it jumped. It like jerked quickly in a 90-day period where suddenly, yeah, there's still more buyers than sellers, but it's not nearly the spread that it was. And what agents need to prepare for, and I've been talking about this in our trainings and all kinds of things, what agents need to prepare for is they are going to see more sellers. And when agents first hear that, when a new agent hears that, they go, "Ooh, great, I've been wanting more sellers." Well, you and I know, I already see you laughing. You and I know that sellers are great in a hot market when everybody wants to buy. But in a slower market, you have to actually work for your money when you're listing the home. And you've got to get your price right. You've got to set expectations right. You've got to get the seller to understand that there is potential for a price adjustment. Look at price adjustments in May. Nationally, price adjustments were up 24%, according to Altos research across the country. 24% jump. I studied Massachusetts, and we went from 8% of homes needing a price adjustment on average the last 5 years in the month of May, 8%, follow me here. This May, 12%. That's a 50% increase year over year. So agents need to understand that they really have to set expectations right with sellers, really work with the seller to get them to understand what the price should be for their home. And I'll tell you, this, the next 90 days is going to be a very difficult time to do that, because you're going to hear media say, "Oh, prices are higher than ever," because a lot of those transactions that are closing over the next 90 days were negotiated in Q1, especially up north, where people wait till the school year is out, and the school year gets out later up here. It gets out in late June, not late May. So, there's a million things agents need to do, but that's a couple of small tips there.
Yeah, it's interesting. The key indicators that I look at on these markets, not only what you described, but the days on the market. Because if you look at least from the South Florida market, the amount of listings that were coming on monthly weren't that different from 5-6 years ago. It was just that the market was absorbing them. The buyer demand was absorbing them. And you went from a 65 or 70 day, on the market average to like an 8-day, and now we're starting to see, 13, 14 days on average. So you could see what's going on. How does a consumer, a buyer that wants to get into this market, who's concerned or cautious about purchasing a home or relocating here because they don't want to buy, what they perceive may be the top of the market, what's your advice to them?
Well, over the last 2 years, buyers have been wishing every single day of their life that they didn't have to compete with as many people. The good side of rates going up is it decreased the amount of buyers in each price bracket, and that's a good thing. It got out of control. Prices went up 20% last year, 15% the year before, talking 35% price appreciation in a 2-year period. That's insanity. And that's how markets do get screwed up. So if I was a buyer, I would be embracing the fact that we're starting to see less competition. Now, right now, it's in pockets. We still see various communities and towns and random listings that are getting multiple offers, 5 offers, 15 offers, 20 offers. But we're also starting to see, as you know, hey, that house didn't sell quite as fast as I thought. Hey, that house got 2 offers. I thought it would get 5+. And we're starting to hear from some sellers asking agents, why aren't I getting more offers on my home? Which I always get a kick out of. Sellers, there's no one that has a harder time realizing that a market has changed than a home seller. So getting back to buyers, if I was a buyer, I would embrace this. If you're going to be buying your home and living in your home for 3+ years, 5+ years, who cares? Even if we are at the top, so what? I mean, it doesn't matter. We're buying properties. We bought probably 12 or 13 properties year to date in our business where we buy homes and fix them up and sell them. And when you're buying real estate, it's a hard asset, right? And it's a good investment. I mean, think about one of the things that I noticed that we're seeing buyers say, well, I think prices are going to, I'm sorry, interest rates are going to go back down. So those buyers are mistaken. They're not going back down. They might go down 1/10 of a point or 2 points like we see in daily or weekly fluctuation, but they're not going to go down significantly, okay? Buyers need to realize that. And if a buyer buys a home now, and then in the fall, rates are 6% plus, which I think they're going to be, you've won. You bought before they went up to 6. If you buy now, and let's say there's some crazy unforeseen event, I don't even want to say it, but terrorist attack or another pandemic or some reason the Fed would step in to lower rates. If that happens and by chance rates down in 6 months or a year, then you refinance. So either way, you've won. It doesn't matter. And when you buy a home and you get into a mortgage, you have a fixed payment for at least a 5-year period if you do an ARM, but more often a 30-year period. You know what your payment is, and you can bank on that. When you're renting, you don't know what your payment is. Look at South Florida, how much rents have gone up in the last year. I mean, rents in Miami per square foot are higher than Boston. That's never happened. And, we don't see an end in sight with that. So that's just some things that buyers should be thinking about.
Agreed. When you look at this market, it's funny because I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said, there's no one that is more stubborn and less understanding of the market than a home seller. And they're the slowest to respond. But the sellers that do respond quickly are going to benefit from this market as well. So, how do real estate, what systems and processes should real estate agents concentrate on as we move towards a little bit different market?
Well, I can add another thought to what you said about sellers, and I can kind of meld what you just asked about with system and processes into it. You and I both know as broker owners, the success of a seller, not all the time, because there are some stubborn sellers that just plain don't listen. But the success of a seller oftentimes is based on the expertise of a realtor. And if a realtor is systematically, automatically, proactively working with a seller to show them comparative properties, show them the difference in inventory in January and February to now, the difference in interest rates in January and February to now, a realtor is going to have much better luck getting a seller to realize, hey, you know what? It's not the market it was in the winter. And yes, your neighbor's house sold for $800,000 last week, but that contract was negotiated at the end of January when there was, 80% less inventory on the market, when interest rates were at 3%, not at the current 5.4%. So hate to tell you, Mr. Seller, you can't reach higher than that seller and go out at $850 because they sold at $800. You probably had a list at $799 or even a little bit lower, because then you'll drive more people to your home. And the more people you drive toward your home, the more you're going to sell it for. And when you talk about systems and processes, that is something that I think realtors have gotten away from in the last 2 years. And in defense of realtors, it got so busy and so fast paced. I mean, something got listed, a home got listed, and you had to get over there with your buyers literally in minutes. And if you didn't, the buyer lost out. So it became very difficult to be as systematic and be as proactive and spend that extra 20 minutes with a home seller to work with them to get that price right. Work with them to get them to see what's going on in the market. Because truth be told, you didn't really have to. You could overprice a home a year ago by 5 or 8% and it would still sell. Now that's coming to an end. And by fall, it will be ended. And what I'm trying to do is just get the word out to realtors and home sellers that, hey, you need to adjust to this a little bit, and to buyers that they should be excited about it. This is what buyers have been wanting.
Well, it's funny because, the buyers are saying, oh, I want less competition, And now all of a sudden when they have less competition, well, why are the prices, I think the prices are at the peak, or why should I be taking advantage in this market, and all these different things. What we see, kind of are unique properties, right? The unique properties that within a community are certainly getting significant prices, even even in this in this market, and they'll continue to, because it's a unique thing. I think the properties that are going to get hurt the most are the ones that back up to a road, or have some problem with it, maybe condition or feature or location, something that it needs a lot of work, lends itself to less exposure.
Yeah,
What
you're
are
right about that. You're right about that. And over the last 2 years, buyers have been overlooking those kinds of things. And as they have more choices, which they will by the time we get to fall and winter, especially fall, as the buyers have more choices, they start to say, yeah, I don't want that property. Now, if it's priced well, they'll start to overlook things. But you know how it goes. Neither of us are surprised at what's happening or what's to come. The only thing that surprised me, I will admit, I did not see interest rates going up at this rate. I never thought they'd go up nearly 3% in 4 months or 3 months. I mean, that's wild. It's a historic event, the fastest since 1981. But we have to deal with it. That's the business. One thing about real estate, as soon as you get used to it, it changes. It's like the weather in New England, right? So this is what we deal with.
I love that. I mean, and you're absolutely right. I used to say that realtors, successful realtors are sadomasochists. They just like to just hurt themselves, just running through the navigation obstacles of or navigating the obstacles that come in front of them. You know, what kind of looking and giving a little bit more value to realtors. What programs or maybe I don't know, some tech, maybe systems that either you're using or you've seen and say, you know what, that's a pretty good system. I like that. The way that maybe lead generation, maybe CRMs, maybe a new kid on the block. Is there any tech that you're using or that you've heard of or demoed that you think is special?
Well, we custom built our own CRM on the Salesforce platform 9 years ago. So we don't use any other CRMs but our own, and we have our own in-house engineers and all that. But one system that comes to mind that impresses me that we do business with is a company by the name of Ylopo. They do a good job at resurrecting old leads. So if you have a database of leads and you put the leads in their system, they will flash ads to those leads and somewhat resurrect them and get them to raise their hand or start interacting. They're particularly good at that. They've also gotten into the game of new leads and things like that. And that's been a little bit trickier for them. Obviously, it's hard to beat the beast. Zillow is really has the online lead game cornered quite well. Realtor.com is strong as well. But Ylopo is a company that we've been impressed with, and we've figured out the right ways to use it. And as you know, that changes with the market, but that's something I've been impressed with. There's another company by the name of BuySide. They have been helping us offer online home evaluations and give 3 different values for our online home valuations. And we've offered that out to our agents. Our agents are now touting that to their farm areas or spheres of influence, et cetera. So BuySide has been another good one, and I'm sure I'm going to forget one and feel bad. But what I want to point out is the need for training. There's a lot of gadgets and widgets out there, okay? But you have to know how to talk to a seller, how to talk to a buyer, what to say, when to say it, what to email, when to email it, etc. And that's why our Crush It in Real Estate training that we've put out has been so successful over the last 5 years, but particularly in the last few months, we've had a lot more people reaching out to inquire about our seller training because they're noticing the market's changing. We have a whole course on price adjustments, and that's just one option of getting training. I've got a friend, you mentioned him earlier, John Cheplack, who he tends to coach leaders, team leaders, broker owners, etc. They're very good at it. But they just started something called Agent Academy. And those guys, him and Dan Bear, they know what they're doing, right? Whatever they're coming out with, I'm sure it's good. Look at Brian Buffini, working by referral, working your referral database, getting more people attached to you. Okay. those tactics are very necessary. And if I'm an agent who's been in a rat race for the last 2 years, out just selling, racing over to homes, I'd be saying to myself this summer, you know what? I'm going to do extra as far as getting in touch with my sphere, my past clients, checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, sending them items of value, sending them education. One of the things I'm always quoted at saying is, when you educate, you attract. Now that we're in a changing market, see, we're very fortunate to be in a business that everyone wants to hear about, right? We're not plumbers, we're not electricians. When there's a new code, no one gives a damn except the people that work in the trade. We are in a business that everyone wants to hear about. And part of the reason I've had, 12 years of getting invited to be on the news and become the source for news here in New England, and I will break in South Florida, is because of data, information. When you educate, you attract. So agents should be putting out information to their sphere, telling them what's going on in the market, doing videos. If you don't like video, then putting out reports, writing blogs, all those kinds of things, because the more you educate your sphere, the more you're going to attract them to you.
Agreed 100%. I mean, it's interesting, when you look in the market and the way that we've been doing things, I've made agents, as we talked about before, complacent, maybe even in some cases lazy, right? More like order takers and that kind of thing. And, we need to get back to our fundamentals and our systems, and we need to be able to, really get in touch with our, as Brian Buffini would say, your top 100, the people that are your raving fans. And we need to continue to spend more time with them so that we could have a successful career going forward, even in whatever market there is. Because there's no, people look at it, there's no more money. There's more money being made in a down market than there ever is in a up market.
This market that we are entering into is, Kathy says, time to get back to work. This market we're entering into, when sellers say, whoa, what's going on? And buyers say, wait, it's changed. This is when you make a name for yourself. This is when the opportunity comes up. So everybody should be rising to the challenge right now, as opposed to getting scared and running the other way. But you know as well as I do, that does happen in this business. We did a Crush It in Real Estate event up here in Worcester, Mass in February, our annual kickoff. We had 610 realtors there, and I stood on stage and I showed a whole line graph with the amount of realtors in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, in Florida, and nationally. And I said, folks, we're at 1.6 million nationally. I guarantee you, when I'm here in 12 months, we will not be at 1.6 million. We are at the peak, right? And I get off the stage and a few people said to me, how can you be so sure of that? And that was really when interest rates were just starting to adjust, but I was certain that it was clear as day to me. And that creates more opportunity for those that stay in the business. There's our friend, a South Florida realtor legend, Karen, saying, show your value. She's right? I mean, this is when you have an opportunity to show what's going on. David, I unfortunately didn't know you 2 years ago when COVID hit. But if you were to go back on the Lamacchia Realty Facebook and scroll down and go to in the timeline down to April and March 2020, I had thousands of people watching, including my competitors, because I was putting out updates, talking to buyers and sellers about what was going on, what to expect, what the rules were when they were changing by the day. And then I was doing the same thing on Crush It in Real Estate, and I grew that audience by like 10,000 likes in a 3-month period and follows. But why did I do that? I did that because I was educating. And when you educate, you attract. And that's what Karen is saying. Show your value. You don't just, this business isn't about just getting up every morning and running around, putting fires out and playing whack-a-mole. It may have felt like that to the average realtor over the last 2 years, but now we're entering a period of adjustment, a deceleration, and it makes perfect sense. We had 6 million homes sell in the United States last year, first time since 2005. And everyone's like, geez, I can't believe it's slowing down. Well, it was the first time since 2005 that we sold that many homes. It's bound to go back down to normal, 5-ish million sales. Like, this isn't some atrocity that's going on. Yes, us business owners have to deal with it. We have to adjust to it as well. But this is business, folks. This is how it works. Welcome to the big leagues.
Agreed. You speak to forecasters and economists, and they'll all say that, say that basically we all got it wrong, right? We all got it. When we went through COVID, we no one could have expected the market we had in the last 2 years, right? No one could have expected it, and no one certainly could have forecasted it. And we're going back, basically, as most forecasters and economists say, we're going back to pre-COVID numbers. We're going to 2019's numbers, and you know what? 2019, we still did 5.2 million sales. So it's not like buyers and sellers. Yeah, okay, we're not going to do 6.2, right? And we're going to have a significant decrease in the number of transaction size. We already see it. We're at 20 in South Florida. We're 28% down for transaction size, but we're up in volume because the average sale price has been ridiculous. So we're going to see some of that going down, and we're going to see the value of a realtor. The value of a realtor. Our local association did a consumer campaign, and we're going to get into hopefully the end of this week with President Carlos Melendez. I need to invite him first, but talking about only a realtor, and there are so many things that we do on a daily basis that consumers don't realize how we do it and how we navigate those obstacles. And you know what? Not every realtor and not every agent is created equal. And you need to make sure that you get the right realtor to be able to sell your house, to be able to represent you in the purchase of your house. And not just that, be an advisor and a consultant and a resource going forward, because you should be on one of your raving fans and be able to dial me at 3 a.m. when you need something, right? That's just how it is.
Well, you're 100% right about that, and I want to mention one of the regrets I have. If you said to me, "Hey, what do you regret in your career?" Well, one of them is I took too long to get involved in the Realtor Association. I got in 2004. I didn't get involved till 2011, and I got involved in a very odd way, kind of by accident, because I was going to DC on my own and setting up meetings on my own, and then I got involved that way. But if I had to do it all over again, I would have got involved sooner. And it's great when we are in a cooperating business. And look, I went down to Washington D.C. to the mid-year event, legislative meetings, 5 weeks ago, and I got to meet you. I got to see Karen again and get to know her better, and Carlos, and all these people that, and some of them I already knew, like Deanna and Kim. But we help each other. We help each other for the greater good of the business and for buyers and sellers. And very few businesses do that. I tell my dad about it. My dad's in the landscape construction paving business, and he's like, "What? I wouldn't get a beer with my competitor if there was no one else to get one with in the world." It's foreign to him. But that's something that should be embraced by realtors. And now that we're going into this change, it's a great way to keep a good vibe and a good temperature of what the hell is going on out there by connecting with realtor friends. So I just wanted to say that. And again, I thank you for having me on here.
Yep, 100%. So I always end the interview with 2 questions. One is, what is your favorite streaming series of all time? And what are you currently watching? You watch TV?
Yes, I do. I just finished watching Yellowstone, and it was awesome. Yeah. The first 3 episodes, I was like, and then I got addicted, and it was so good. And then I had COVID 3 weeks ago, as I told you, and I watched 1883. I binge watched that from my bed, and it was awesome. So Yellowstone's great. Love that. I'd say the greatest series of all time, though, is The Sopranos. There's nothing better. So hopefully that answers your question.
What are you currently watching? Anything?
No, haven't started anything else since, but I plan to.
I started Lincoln Lawyer. It's very good. I would highly recommend that. It's short. It's like a 9 or 10 episode thing, and it's done very well.
I will check that out. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony. I really, really appreciate it. Coming on, and where can we find you? And I understand you're going on tour with Crush It in Real Estate as well.
Yes, we are putting a training on every single month. Some months I'm speaking more than once, but we're doing. I was just in Pompano, Florida, 3 weeks ago. Did a training there at Galuppi's, and now I am speaking north of Boston this Thursday. Then I have something in Worcester. I have something in Worcester, Massachusetts. I have something in St. Louis in the middle of July. In August, I'll be co-moderating the broker track at Inman in Las Vegas, Inman Connect. People should check that out. Realtors should check it out. It's a great event. Then in September, I'll be down in Fort Lauderdale. We're putting on our second big Crush It in Real Estate event of the year. So these smaller ones that I do in the markets that we operate in are great, but twice a year, we do a big one up here and one down there, and we have it Friday, September 23rd. Karen's talking about our billboards on the turnpike down there, and there will be more billboards, but I hope to have you all there on September 23rd. Please save the date. If anyone in South Florida, it's a realtor event. We're going to have several speakers. We're going to have panels, all kinds of things, and I will keynote it at the end, as I always do, and it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you very much for allowing me to mention all that.
Absolutely. And we get to follow you on Crush It in Real Estate on Facebook?
Crush It in Real Estate on Facebook, and then on Instagram, AJ Lamacchia is my handle on Instagram. So awesome. I'm not a tough guy to find. He'll find me.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it. Listen, Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We're in for cooperation and collaboration and perpetuating professionalism within the industry. So have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, guys.